Okay, this is 8.4C in trigonometry, and we're going to start with some examples here, and we're going to sneak this formula in here. I'm just going to kind of move it over here for right now. I'm going to start with example 3. I'll come back to example 2 after we do example 3. I don't know why they did it in that order. Alright, so what we've got is we've got minus 8. Now let's get rid of this here, give myself some room. Minus 8. In fact, I'm going to make my pen smaller so that I can write smaller. Plus 8i square root of 3. Alright, what we're doing is we're finding the fourth root of that. Alright, so I'm going to erase that part of it because the instructions say find all fourth roots. So there's more than one root to this answer. It's kind of like if I have the square root of 4. The answer to that is plus or minus 2. There are two different answers. So if I'm finding all the roots, I'm going to say negative 2 works because negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4, and positive 2 works. Positive 2 times positive 2 is 4. So there are two answers. Which brings me to something very important. When I ask for find all fourth roots, I know that there are going to be 4 answers. Okay, so when it tells you you're going to find all fifth roots, you know there's going to be 5 answers. Square roots, there's going to be 2 answers. So that's kind of a nice thing to know, is you know how many answers you're going to get. Okay, so the way I do this, plus it wants the roots written in rectangular form. So I'm going to write this, because the only way we know how to do this is using trig form. So I'm going to convert that to trig form. And we know if we drew this out, because when you do this in trig form, it asks you to give you the quadrant there. So I know that that is going to be my negative 8, and my y is going to be 8 square root of 3, which tells me it's going to be a 30, 60, 90 angle. But anyway, we're going to just assume you know how to do this. I'm not going to teach it all over again, but we get 16 cis 120 degrees, because that's a 60-degree angle. This is going to be 120 degrees. Alright, so that's written in trig form, where r is 16 and theta is 120. So let's look at our formulas here. Let's look at this right here, or this. I mean, they're both the same. One's just an abbreviated method. Alright, so I know that my r is going to be whatever my root is. In this case it says find the fourth roots, and I know my r is 16 right there. Okay, then that's going to be cosine of alpha plus I sine of alpha. Alright, so what in the world is alpha? Alpha is the angle, is the fourth root of what I'm given up here. So this is my theta right here. And since I'm dealing with a second angle, I can't call it theta. I'm going to call it alpha. It's kind of like when you're given an a variable z, and you have another variable x. I mean, you can't call them the same thing. So what I've got here is 2 different variables, meaning I'm talking 2 different angles. Basically what I'm saying is this, when I cube it, I'm going to get, or to take it to the 4th power, I'm going to get this. So I'm looking for the fourth root of this, which is another angle, which is alpha. It's not going to be theta. It's going to be the fourth root of theta, and we're going to call it alpha. I don't know what it is, so I'm going to call it alpha because it's an unknown angle. So that's the difference between the alpha here and the theta. The theta is what I'm given, 120. The alpha is the angle that I'm looking for, the fourth root of my theta. Okay, so I'm going to use this here, which is what I've got right here, in order to solve this. Alright, so how do I find alpha? That's what this part right here is. So I already know that my r is going to be 2. That's the easy part. The next part is finding out this part, what my alpha is. Alright, so what did I say about alpha? I said that whenever you are asked to find a fourth root, let's say, there are going to be 4 answers. Okay, so your 4 answers, I'm not going to go into what k is. It just has to do with, you can't deal with angles bigger than 360 because they're just going to repeat themselves. So we're going to use k as a constant, and right now just be able to do it. Okay, you don't have to understand what it means, just be able to do it. Alright, so I said 4 answers. So that means I'm going to have 4 different k's because they're going to be part of my answers. So k is either going to be, okay, and we're going to always start with 0, and we're going to go to the next one, the next one, the next one. So I've got 4 answers here. Another way of looking at it is when I write these out, my k is always going to start one less than, like in this one, the 4th root is going to start with 3, go 2, go 1, then go to 0. But I'm going to have 4 of those. So I always start at 0 and work my way up until I have 4 answers. And they're always going to be numerical, 0, 1, 2, 3. If I was looking for the 6th root, it would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I was looking for the square root, it would be 0 and 1. Okay? So because there's 4 answers, start at 0, 1, 2, 3. And that's what is going to go in this formula right here in order for me to find alpha. So I'm going to do this formula 1, 2, 3, 4 different times. Alright, so let's move some stuff out of here. I want to keep this. I don't care about that. Don't care about that. I want to keep this because this was developed from this here. Alright, and so I'm looking for my alphas. Once I find my alphas, I stick them in here and simplify, and I'll be done. Alright, so let's go ahead and assume you remember K0, 1, 2, 3, and we'll just kind of get rid of those to make myself some room. And let's get rid of this. I want to be able to get through this in one video, and I'm having a hard time. Alright, so theta, or alpha. I'm going to look at this right here. That's what I'm going to focus on. So my alpha is going to equal theta, which, what is theta? My theta is, I determined a 120-degree angle, right? So I've got 120 divided by n, which is 4, plus 360 times k, our first k was 0, right, over n, which is 4. And that will give me 120 divided by 4 is 30, plus 360 times 0 is 0 over 4, which is going to, 0 to 4 is 0, which is going to give me 30. So when k is 0, alpha is 30. Now when k is 1, we do the exact same thing, 120 over 4 plus 360 times k is 1 over 4, and that will give me a 120-degree angle. Okay, because this will be 30, and this will be 90, and 90 plus 30 is 120. When k is 2, we get, again, 120 over 4 plus 360 times 2. So notice the only thing that changes is k, and that's 210. When k is 3, we get, again, 120 over 4 plus 360 times 3 divided by 4 is going to give me a 300 degree. So my alpha is going to be 4 different angles here. Alright, so that being the case, Now we take and write 4 times. One with the alpha of 30, one with it 120, one with it 210, and one with it 300. We already determined this was 2. Alright, so let's see where that takes us. So using this formula right there, I get, let's do it in black here, I get 2, that's my R, cis 30, I get 2 cis, what did I say, 120, 2 cis 210, and 2 cis 300. Alright, so those 4 answers are my 4th roots. If I took this and multiplied it by itself 4 times, I would get my beginning, -8 plus 8i square root of 3 from the example 3. If I took this to the 4th power, this to the 4th power, or this to the 4th power, I'd get -8 plus 8i square root of 3 if I took any of those 4 answers to the 4th power, because those are my 4 different answers. They all 4 work. Alright, so what they asked us to do then in this last part is they said, no, we don't want you to leave it that way. We want you to put it in trigonometric form, or rectangular form, not leave it in trigonometric form. So I have to take each one of these right here and change each one to trig form, or rectangular form. So this one is going to be written as square root of 3 plus I. This one is going to be written as -1 plus I square root of 3. And this next one, negative square root of 3 minus I. And the next one is 1 minus I square root of 3. So that's this one. That's this one. That's this one. And that's this one. Notice when you change them to rectangular form, how much alike they look. Okay, so real quickly, I'm just going to remind you how to change something like this to rectangular form. So I wrote that out as 2 cosine of 30 plus I sine of 30. I expanded it out. Cosine of 30 is the square root of 3 over 2. You should know that. Sine of 30 is 1/2. Now I distribute, and I get 2, oops, come on blue, 2 square root of 3 over 2 plus 2I times 1/2. That cancels, I'm left with square root of 3 plus I. So I'm left with that, and that's what I have right there. So do that for this one, whoops, this one, and this one, and you will get these answers right here. Okay, so it's just converting your cosine of 30 to actually to what it is, to the ratio, sine of 30 into this ratio, distribute the 2, and you have it in rectangular form. Alright, so next problem we're going to do is going to jump up to example 2, which is actually finding the complex roots, and we're going to do it in radian form instead of degrees.